Chapter 6023. Let us use Rothschilds this time. Charlie's words made Nicholas and his son look incredulous. Nicholas couldn't help but say, the Rothschild family has always set their sights on the top. In their eyes, no company or family in the world can be equal to them. So what if the Inn family is the second largest family in the United States? When Simon meets you on weekdays, will still be arrogant and condescending? After that, Nicholas added, I have known Simon for so many years. And there was only one time when he was polite or even respectful to me. That was when Pavel died. The time he discussed it with me on the phone, with his character of using people first and not second. He would not feel that he owed me a favor after Pavel's matter was resolved safely. Charlie smiled and said, in this matter, there is no need to communicate with Simon. I just arranged for Steve to deal with it. Steve? Second Uncle Marcus asked subconsciously. Is it Simon's eldest son Steve Rothschild? Yes. Charlie nodded and smiled, that's him. Marcus said with a sneer, that guy Steve is even more FKED up than me. He uses people to move forward and doesn't hesitate in anything. He comes to eat. He picks up your bowl. He puts down your chopsticks and will scold you. Charlie said with a smile, Uncle must be talking about Steve in the past. He doesn't dare to be so arrogant in front of me now. I can send the Sifang Baozhuang back to China this time. I relied on him to personally escort it out of the country. And now his pigtail is in my hand. If I ask him to do anything, he won't even dare to FA.RT. After saying that, Charlie looked at the time and said, I guess Rothschild has already finished its internal meeting. So I'll call him now. When the others heard Charlie talking about the Sifang Baozhuang, they immediately realized that Charlie had indeed caught Steve's destiny. Charlie dialed the phone and turned on the speaker. Before it rang twice, the call was immediately connected. Then, Steve's respectful voice came over. Oh, Mr. Wade, you have returned to China. Yes, Charlie said calmly. I have returned to China. I called you because I wanted to say thank you for your hard work on Sifang Baozhuang. Oh, Steve was so frightened that he trembled and said quickly. Mr. Wade, let's not mention those words on the phone. It's too sensitive. Charlie smiled, okay, anyway, I'm just calling to say thank you. And by the way, is your father in good health? Steve on the other end of the phone was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. He cursed in his heart, Charlie, you are not satisfied with killing people. But you still want to jump out and rub salt on my wounds. Do you still know whether the old man is in good health? Although Steve was very angry, he did not dare to make any quarrel with Charlie. He could only say respectfully, thanks for Mr. Wade's concern. After Mr. Wade asked the Queen to come and see my father. My father has completely recovered. That's good. Charlie smiled and said, Steve, I cured your father. Do you have some complaints against me in your heart? Steve blurted out hurriedly like a cat whose tail was stepped on. No. It's too late for me to be grateful to you, so how can I blame you? Charlie asked curiously, by the way, your father has recovered. Did he pass on the position of clan leader to you as agreed? Steve was extremely depressed and said in a low voice. My father did not pass the throne to me, but only confirmed the identity of my first heir. As he said this, Steve couldn't help feeling depressed, and muttered in a low voice, Mr. Wade, you really poured a big bucket of ice water on me. Charlie no longer followed him, and said straightforwardly, Steve, we have an old saying in China, God will give you a big task. This man, to avoid suspicion, has toiled his mind, strained his muscles, and starved his body. The purpose of letting you take over the Rothschild family a few years later is to hone your by the way, your abilities. Although you are not as old as you. But I can see that your personal ability is not enough to lead the entire Rothschild family. Your father still needs to train you for a few more years. Otherwise the huge foundation of your family may be destroyed by your hands. Steve scolded Charlie in his heart, but he could only say bitterly, "Mr. Wade, you are right, I really need to study more and settle down more."